I'm Ben Nakimovic. I'm Customer Success Manager at the Shopworks. Welcome to the Workforce Management Podcast. My guest today is Ed Hogg, Managing Director of our sister company, SolvedBy.Ai. In this episode, we will discuss what is AI-based forecasting, what do business use it for, and what are the benefits of using it. So now that is a very important topic, so I'm very excited to do this podcast today, because all businesses out there would love to know and would love to forecast the activity so they can plan ahead. So I'm hoping that Ed will shed some lights for us today. Hi, Ed.
Hi.
So Ed, tell me, what is AI-based forecasting, and what do business can and use it for?
So AI-based forecasting is the idea of forecasting something that has been happening on discrete time intervals in the past into the future, which is a very geeky way of saying forecasting sales every hour into the future, forecasting footfall into the future accurately. It works by taking the historic data, looking at the factors that the business is aware of and can control, such as what the actual sales were, whether the store was open, bank holidays, summer holidays and stuff like that. So what school holidays are going on. The weather is obviously a key factor. It combines that with the sales data and uses that to forecast into the future accurately. Now, if you think about a forecast, it's basically just a very simple line graph. What our AIs do is effectively take that into a multi-dimensional thing, because of obviously you're adding a lot more data to it, and they accurately work out the equation of that line very well, and then use that to forecast into the future. So we go through, we've got somewhere around 100 different algorithms that can be used to do time series forecasting. You apply those and work out which one works for which store, which day, and change that. We've got examples where forecasts are being used for stores that are next to each other on the high street, and they're using completely different algorithms. So, that's how it works. And a business uses that information to work out quite a lot of factors. They use it to work out how many staff are required. They use it to work out how many people are required in the business in the future, what the budget is, so how much money they need to have, so how much cash they need on hand for that store, where they're going to need to order stock for, all those kind of things. So it's a really useful and powerful piece of information for a store to have.
Very broad indeed, very broad indeed. So tell me, this is the Workforce Management Podcast. So in that context of workforce management, what kind of forecasting can AI offer?
So you've got two types really. So you've got demand forecasting and then growth forecasting. So demand forecasting is the act of forecasting how many, looking at a demand factor, which is something that affects your demand, and forecasting that. So in the case of workforce management, traditionally it's how many things am I going to sell? How many people do I need per thing I sell? And therefore I forecast that into the future. So how many pints am I going to sell per hour is equal to how many people I need to pour those pints in that given hour. And then I can work out my headcount from it. Growth forecasting is slightly different. So you would take, in a growth forecast, you would look at what is the maximum opportunity for the business to grow. So forecast what is the top level. Give me additional. If we maximised all of our opportunities, if we took advantage of everything, if we had the right resource on the right time, if we spent it, what is the maximum amount of staff, or what is the maximum amount of revenue I can bring in with this staff level, and then how am I going to be able to grow? And what you'd use that to do is, if you're looking for an expansion plan, now that obviously comes with some costs associated with it, so it is not, and it is often not as accurate as demand forecasting, because demand forecasting, the point of it is to accurately forecast demand, whereas growth forecasting is to work out what the maximum potential is, and you need to hit all those maximum potentials to get there. But those are the two kind of things that happen within workforce management forecasting.
So a lot of business leaders out there have been essentially doing, forecasting, perhaps manually for many years, and have a lot of experience doing it. And what would you tell those business leaders about, the benefit of switching to an AI-based forecasting as opposed to, perhaps hundreds of spreadsheets and tabs within the same spreadsheet that they might be using at the moment? What are the main benefit of switching to an AI-based forecasting?
Well, several. So the first thing is you reduce the fact the need to copy and paste things into and out of spreadsheets, which can often go wrong. And if you paste it as don't paste as values, and then you can get the wrong format type and all those kind of problems that occur with Excel. It's scalable. You can do it across thousands and thousands of different sites from just one click of a button, rather than, or completely automated. Actually, in most cases, it's accurate. That's probably the big thing, because we look at so many different permutations and so many different factors that affect a forecast, and you lots of different models to try and work out accurately what's going on, that you can accurately predict into the future. So you're predicting accurately into the future rather than noisily into the future, which carries some error. And if you're making decisions based off of inaccurate information in the future, you could be making decisions which could be catastrophic if you get them really wrong in your forecast. Whereas,
and I'm guessing it's consistency, as opposed to a manual process, because the AI almost automates all the logic that those business leaders would have in their heads. I would imagine that's also
it's consistent. It's unbiased as well, so it doesn't take into account the opinion of a manager, but it does take into account their knowledge. So knowledge rather than opinion, fact and fiction kind of stuff. So it does allow for consistent forecasting into the future, consistently accurate, consistently quick, and always there, rather than if someone's on holiday and not appearing.
Oh, brilliant. I mean, that consistent point and the bias, getting rid of the bias is something that, it's a point that, at least we are making a lot when it comes to AI, and when I speak to businesses, because doing stuff manually, we're all human, so bias will step in. Ed, thank you very much for your time today. Thanks for answering all my questions. Thanks for listening. And if you found the subject interesting, please feel free to visit our blog section on the shopworks.com website, where you'll find a bit more details on the subject discussed today. Thank you, everyone.